regular meeting of the Board of Aldermen to order on Wednesday, January 24th, 2024 at 7:30 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber. The prayer will be offered by City Clerk Dan Healy, and Alderman-at-Large Ben Clemens will lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Almighty God, we have the high honor and the serious duty to manage the affairs of our beloved city. Fill us, O God, with a spirit of unity and understanding, which enables us to face our multiple problems with a serene mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will always be for the betterment and greater happiness of all our fellow citizens. So help us God. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's start the meeting by taking a roll call attendance.
Alderman O'Brien. Alderwoman Timmons. Alderman Moran.
Present.
Alderman Thibodeau.
Present.
Alderman Govea.
Here.
Alderman Lopez.
Here.
Alderman Sullivan.
Here.
Alderman Clemens.
Here.
Alderman Senate.
Here.
Alderman Jettie.
Here.
Alderman Thibault.
Here.
Alderman Clee.
Here.
Alderman Dowd.
Present.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Here.
Alderman Wilshire.
Here.
13 present, 2 absent.
Thank you. I did hear from Alderman Timmons and Alderman O'Brien. They were both not feeling well and not joining us this evening. Also with us this evening is Mayor Jim Donchis and Corporation Counsel Steve Bolton. Mayor, did you wish to address the board this evening?
Yes, Madam President, thank you. Well, first I wanted to thank City Clerk Dan Healy and his staff for running our New Hampshire primary election yesterday and did a very smooth and ran things very smoothly and did a very good job. Despite some obstacles, there were COVID-related absences in various wards, which City Clerk Healy had to cover, find people for, and cover himself. So again, they did a great job. And I'd also like to thank all the poll workers who we know in each of our 9 wards get up very, very early in the morning, work till late at night, count absentee ballots, and run the operation smoothly, fairly, cleanly, as we always have here in Nashua. So I want to thank all of the people involved. Second, I wanted to mention the passing of Al Savage. I'm sure other people here knew him very well. Everything they say about him in the newspaper, all the good things are really true. I mean, I knew Al for a lot of years, and he died at age 95, but when he was a little younger, and I was mayor also, he ran a lot of youth sports leagues out of the Elks organization, and at that time, the Elks Hall was down on Daniel Webster Highway. And he would hold around 6 banquets every year, at which he would invite each of the young athletes along with their families. And these would be held, I think, on a Wednesday night. And just as a thank you for all of them becoming involved. I mean, he just loved those kids, and he gave everything he could to them, and he really deserves all of the accolades that he has received since his passing. And it's sad that ultimately he did pass away, but he was preceded by his wife Marion, also very involved and a very dedicated public servant. They jointly received Citizen of the Year award from the Chamber of Commerce some decades ago, but it was a joint award, both Al and Marion Savage. So I wanted to speak to his passing. And I also wanted to update you, the entire board, on the action taken by the Finance Committee tonight. The Finance Committee authorized a contract to enable a warming shelter beyond that being provided by the Nashua Soup Kitchen and Shelter. A warming station is something that operates from the evening around 9 o'clock to 6 in the morning for anyone who is unhoused and wishes to get warm and have a place to go. The UU Church on Canal Street agreed to offer space for this. Really, as a donation, we have agreed to pay them around $3,000 in their anticipated expenses relating to heat, light, and coffee and other things that they will provide at that site. The contract that was authorized is with East Coast Evolution, which is a provider of services, a service provider that is performing a similar service for warming shelters in Manchester and other communities across New Hampshire. The funds are coming from the Opioid Abatement Trust Fund, which Director Bagley testified before the Finance Committee, totals right now about $326,000. The amount that it will cost to provide this service will be $97,000 of that amount. But I think it's important to note that we have this money, or at least most of it, because some years ago, the Board of Aldermen, at the suggestion of our legal department, authorized the city to enter as a plaintiff in many of these opioid-related lawsuits that have come across the country. And as a result of being one of the named plaintiffs in that litigation, we receive a greater share of the national opioid settlements than we otherwise would if we were simply a receiver community. That money, and there were questions at the Finance Committee related to, well, what happens when the money runs out? That is possible, but these settlements require that the various defendants in these cases, which include the manufacturers of the opioids, Purdue and other pharmaceutical companies, and in many cases distributors, those being the pharmacies and others. The settlements require that those defendants pay into this fund over a period of decades, and so there will be a continuing stream of funds. Now, it may not be as much as we have now, but there will be more money coming on a periodic basis as a result of those settlements. So I wanted to make that clear, thank our legal department for getting us involved in those lawsuits, because it has yielded benefits for our community in the form of financial support for our anti-opioid efforts. And with that, Madam President, I will conclude.
Thank you, Mayor. Responses to the remarks of the mayor. Alderman Lopez.
With regards to the warming stations, do you know when those will be online?
As soon as possible.
Okay.
I mean, we did it on an emergency basis tonight, so we can really start it right away.
Okay. Are you aware whether those stations are participating in the point-in-time count?
Director Bagley is nodding her head yes, so the
Okay.
answer is yes.
The point-in-time count is the annual count that we try to determine exactly how many people are unsheltered or homeless or whatever category in the city, and then the state, and that information is collaboratively collected across many, many organizations. So it's a great night to make that announcement. Thank you.
And I'd like to thank Director Bagley, who was very involved, Megan Karen, Matt Sullivan, all of them were involved in sort of putting this together quickly. The point was made that maybe we should have done this earlier, which is probably correct, but now it has been done, and I want to thank them for their efforts.
Anyone else? I just wanted to echo what the mayor said about Al Savage. He was a great guy. I went to many a roast beef dinner at the Elks Club with my kids when they were in sports. He was a wonderful guy. He'll be missed. Recognition period.
None.
Reading Reading minutes of previous meetings. There being no objection, I'll declare the minutes of the organizational and regular meeting of the Board of Aldermen of January 9th, 2024 be accepted, placed on file, and the reading suspended. Communications requiring only procedural actions and written reports from liaisons.
Communication has been received from Police Chief Kevin Rourke regarding R-22-056 ARPA funding.
There being no objection, I'll accept the communication and place it on file. Period for public comment relative to items expected to be acted upon this evening. No one has signed up. Communications requiring final approval.
Communication has been received from Mayor Jim Donchis regarding multi-year contract award Logic Monitor.
Alderman Clee.
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President, I motion to accept, place on file, and approve a multi-year renewal contract for the continued Logic Monitor monitoring and support services with Logic Monitor in the amount of $15,933. Funding will be through Department 120 Technology Maintenance Fund 54407 Software Maintenance.
You've heard the motion. Discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries.
Communication has been received from Mayor Jim Donchis regarding multi-year contract award Highland Software, Inc.
Alderman Govea.
Thank you, Madam President. I move to accept, place on file, and approve the amendment to the Highland underlying leasing agreement by replacing evidence in report services module with a full text search and reporting dashboard subscription license with Highland Software Incorporated in the amount of $10,976,031. Funding will be through Department 120 Technology Maintenance, Fund 54407 Software Maintenance.
You've heard the motion. Discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. Petitions.
None.
Nominations, appointments, and elections. Joint convention with the Woodlawn Pinewood Cemeteries. There being no objection, I will declare that the Board of Aldermen meet in joint convention with the Woodlawn Pinewood Cemeteries for the purpose of electing a trustee, and a call for nominations.
I'm Niles Jensen, Chairman of the Board of Trustees of Woodlawn and Pinewood Cemeteries, and I'm here to make a nomination this evening. We have a new trustee that we're putting up for nomination. His name is Mark Plamondon, and some of you may know him. And we're putting his name up for nomination tonight, and I'm looking forward to your support for him.
Thank you. There being no objection, I will close the nominations. Take a voice vote. Mr. Clerk?
Alderman Moran.
I nominate Mark Plamondon.
Alderman Thibodeau.
I nominate Mark Plamondon.
Alderman Govea.
Mr. Plamondon?
Alderman Lopez.
Mark Plamondon.
Alderman Sullivan.
Mark Plamondon.
Alderman Clemmons.
Mark Plamondon.
Alderman Senate.
Mark Plamondon.
Alderman Jettie.
Mark Plamondon.
Alderman Tebow.
Mark Plamondon.
Alderman Clee.
Mark Plamondon.
Alderman Dowd.
Mark Plamondon.
Alderwoman Kelly.
Mark Plamondon.
Alderman Wilshire.
Mark Plamondon.
Trustee David Podnovich. Trustee Patricia Bettinger. Trustee Daniel Bolsevich. Trustee Mark Colombe. Trustee Dana Farewell. Trustee Howard Frizzle. Trustee Niles Jensen.
Mark Lamont.
Trustee Michael McLaughlin. Trustee Todd Whitney. Mayor Jim Donches.
Representative, current representative, former Alderman Mark Plamondon.
15 yeas, 0 nays.
That motion carries. Would you care to come forward, Mr. Plamondon, for the oath of office? We might let you in. You might have to come right up.
Security. I will say the horseshoe has changed considerably since I sat here.
Now it's more of an open angle.
Right over here.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear that you will faithfully and impartially discharge and perform all the duties incumbent upon you as a trustee of the Woodlawn Pinewood Cemeteries, according to the best of your ability and agreeably to the rules and regulations of the city charter and the Constitution and laws of the state of New Hampshire, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you, Steve.
Mark Plamondon has been duly appointed to the Woodlawn Pinewood Cemeteries for a term to expire March 31st, 2029. There being no objection, I will declare that the joint invention now arise.
Business and Industrial Development Authority, John Stable, reappointment, term to expire September 22nd, 2025, 48 Lutheran Drive, Nashua, New Hampshire, 03063. Conservation Commission, Carol Sarno, reappointment, term to expire December 31st, 2026, 15 Rocky Hill Drive, Nashua, New Hampshire, 03062. Zoning Board of Adjustment, Joshua Nihili, alternate 2-member, term to expire September 11th, 2024, 10 Roderick Circle, Nashua, New Hampshire, 03062.
There being no objection, I'll accept the appointments
Point
by
of
the...
order. Sorry, Madam President.
Alderman Moran.
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up from last term regarding the reappointments and resumes. I didn't see any in the packet. I'm not sure if that's going to happen at personnel, and will the full board eventually get those, or just the personnel committee?
They go to personnel members. They are online, but if you want me to, I can send them forward to the entire board as well.
I would personally like them, but I don't want to speak on behalf of the president if something needs to be communicated to the full board.
Are you
Nor
on the
would I wanna
personnel
put-
committee?
No, I'm not, that's
You're
why,
not? Okay.
but I will attend and watch the video like I've had in the past, but I just like to see it ahead of
I
time.
can forward them to you.
Thank
That's
you.
fine. You're welcome.
There being no objection, I'll accept the appointments by the mayor as read and refer them to the Personnel Administrative Affairs Committee. Reports of committees, Finance Committee. There being no objection, I will declare the reports of the January 3rd and 17th, 2024 Finance Committee be accepted and placed on file. Confirmation of mayor's appointments.
None.
Unfinished business resolutions.
Second reading of R-24-001, relative to the acceptance of $26,800 from the State of New Hampshire Department of Safety into Police Grant Activity 2022 Homeland Security Grant Program Active Threat Training.
Alderman Lopez.
I'd like to make a motion for final passage of R-24-001.
Motion is for final passage. Discussion on that motion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. And I lost it already. Sorry. Resolution 24-001 is duly adopted. Unfinished business ordinances,
None.
new business resolutions.
First reading of R-24-004, relative to the supplemental appropriation of $51,843.88 of fiscal year 2024 unanticipated revenue into Fund 7024 Opioid Abatement Expendable Trust Fund.
Additional sponsors, Alderman Moran, Alderman Lopez, Alderman Sullivan, Alderman Clemmons, Alderman Senate, Alderman Tebow, Alderman Clee, Alderman Dowd, Alderwoman Kelly, and myself. Given its first reading, I'll assign that to the Budget Review Committee and schedule a special Board of Aldermen public hearing on Thursday, February 8th, 2024 at 7 p.m.
First reading of R-24-005, authorizing the mayor and city treasurer to issue bonds not to exceed the amount of $8,500,000 to fund additional costs for the building renovations at the Birch Hill and Maine Dunstable Elementary Schools.
Additional sponsors, Alderman Moran and myself. Given its first reading, I will assign that to the Budget Review Committee, the Board of Education, and schedule a special Board of Aldermen public hearing on Thursday, February 8th, 2024 at 7 p.m.
First reading of R-24-006, relative to the acceptance of the 2022-2023 Downtown Nashua Circulation Study for use and guidance in planning and future decision-making.
Additional sponsors, Alderman Govea, Alderman Senate, Alderman Clee, and myself. Given its first reading, I'll assign that to the Committee on Infrastructure.
First reading of R-24-007, relative to the acceptance of the 2022-2023 Downtown Nashua Parking Study for use as guidance in planning and future decision-making.
Additional sponsors, Alderman Govea, Alderman Sullivan, Alderman Senate, Alderman Clee, and myself. Given its first reading, I'll assign that to the Committee on Infrastructure.
First reading of R-24-008, authorizing the mayor to enter into a Fourth Amendment to concession agreement with Granite Diamond LLC.
Additional sponsors, Alderman Clemmons and myself. Given its first reading, I'll assign that to the Finance Committee.
First reading of R-24-009, authorizing release of certain stormwater easements and restrictions.
Additional sponsors. Seeing none, I will assign that to the Committee on Infrastructure. New business ordinances,
None.
period for general public comment. No one has signed up. Remarks by members of the board, I'll start over here tonight. Alderman Moran.
Thank you, Madam President. First and foremost, thank you to Clerk Healy and the poll workers for putting on a great election. I'm sure you have got plenty of sleep by now. I was obviously in Ward 9, and I'm sure my colleague from Ward 9 can attest. It was very busy, very well handled. Me and my wife and my daughter who had the day off of school because of the voting were in and out, and we stopped by the PTO stand. But it was definitely heavy foot traffic for sure, so good job. Were extra ballots requested for any of the wards?
We came close in a few wards, but we didn't need any extra. So in state elections, they come from the Secretary of State, they decide the number. Yeah, we were very close in Ward 5, but we ended up having enough, so it was good.
Definitely good turnout.
Yeah.
Second, I would just want to, I guess, publicly congratulate my wife for a couple of things. I'm not sure if anyone noticed. I know Director Sullivan noticed, but he's not around today. But she was on CNN last week asking mental health questions to Ron DeSantis. She was invited on by CNN, and it was great to see her ask the only policy question of the candidate. And I think she might have drove him out of New Hampshire. Second, too, staying on complimenting my life partner, she was recently nominated and voted onto the Board of Alumni for Riviere. Tonight was supposed to be her first meeting, but we had an emergency finance committee meeting, and I had to be here to vote for an emergency shelter, and she had to skip her first meeting, but I'm sure she looks forward to the future ones. More congratulations, though, but down to my colleague down to the right, from Ward 4, congratulations, licensed clinical mental health counselor Tom Lopez, formerly from the Board of Mental Health. I understand he had a superb, some would call the person an expert clinical supervisor,
Some might call.
but now he no longer requires supervision. But congratulations to Alderman Lopez.
Congratulations, Alderman Lopez. Alderman Govea.
Thank you, Madam President. I think as a lot of people around the Horseshoe have noticed, Ward 1 has been in the news on Saturday night, which is super, super unfortunate. But I do just want to thank the Nashua PD for their speedy response in ensuring the neighborhoods were kept safe during all this, and like to stress the importance of the training and the amount of money we spend in training our police department, although it might seem costly upfront in situations like what we saw Saturday night, Sunday morning, it's worth every penny, and you can't really put a price tag on it. On a more positive note, I would like to thank the New Hampshire Senate, the Health and Human Services Committee, for their positive recommendation of SB 70. I don't have the wrong bill number, sorry, but it provides yearly optional cancer screening for firefighters all across the state. So that's a big start. That will go to the Senate floor, and then we'll hopefully make it through Senate Finance and the House and be signed by the governor, and our firefighters will be able to receive optional cancer screening. So that would be a very big step in the right direction for that industry.
Alderman Lopez.
Some community events on February 17th. There'll be a Noche Fuego event over at Soul Sisters. Anybody looking for their couple's Valentine's Day plans? It's a chance for Spanish dinner, music, and dancing, so that should be something to look forward to on February 17th. I wanted to thank all of our poll workers who worked long hours, especially considering the extra impact of the write-in campaign that was taking place. I want to thank everybody who put their time and effort into supporting their candidates. I met a couple of people who came up from New York to support theirs. I met a lot of neighbors and residents in Ward 4 who were passionate about their choices. And overall, I think we had a great turnout, and I would love to see that continue. I want to thank City Clerk Healy for organizing everybody and leading them in such a successful and very much closely watched endeavor, because I don't think we've ever been quite this closely scrutinized, given all of the tension between the Democratic National Convention and our local New Hampshire deserves its primary Democrats. So I think there's a lot of scrutiny and a lot of attention to it, and I think it was very well handled and went very smoothly. So I'm very grateful to our staff. I also want to recognize Fred Davis and Arthur Craffey, who oversaw our event locally at Lead Street School. Thank you very much.
Alderman Sullivan.
Thank you. Kudos to City Clerk Healy for a very smooth primary day yesterday. As was mentioned earlier, Ward 9 went really well, and it's great because I wasn't really quite sure what to expect on a primary day, and I went midday, and the traffic was steady. And so that's good, especially for folks that are there all day. As long as there's people coming in, it kind of moves the day along. So thank you to all the people that helped out, not just in Ward 9, but across the city. It's always great to go and vote, and an impromptu ward meeting breaks out. I should wear a hat and sunglasses next time, but it's good to connect with voters and the public. I also want to, from what I know, you can fact check me on this, but I think there's about 13 promotions coming up on Sunday for Nashua Fire and Rescue over, I think it's at Nashua High North. That's happening on Sunday, so congratulations to all of the folks from Nashua Fire and Rescue that are getting a nice promotion on Sunday. That's it.
Alderman Senate.
Thank you, Madam President. I certainly want to reiterate the comments and kudos to City Clerk Healy and to all our poll workers throughout Nashua, and give special recognition to the folks over in Ward 7. Yesterday was the first election in about 6 years where I wasn't on site from start till finish. And so it was a little weird to just get up and leave the house at 6:15 and go to work, and then show up, vote, say a couple hellos, and leave. We've got a new moderator in there, and so I kind of went in apprehensively. That's my that's sort of become my baby, if you will. But we went in during the evening rush. People were smiling, people were happy, things were moving smoothly. So I certainly want to offer kudos to moderator Avalon Lewis, our longtime clerk Judy Blatchek, and our 3 selectmen, Lynn Lawton, Elizabeth Forney, and Dee Hogan. That's all I have.
All set, Alderman Jettie. Alderman Tebow.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wasn't going to speak, but since everybody's speaking about the election yesterday, thank you to Dan and everybody, all the poll workers at all the different polls. I went to Ward 8. I was probably there half an hour. Overall, it was smooth. But while I was there, like I said, I wasn't there that long. I went out and I spoke to one of the women holding a sign She's an Indian American, and someone drove by and gave her the finger while I was there. So, you know, there was some of that going on yesterday, and, you know, I also got an email today or an instant message from a woman. I believe she was probably working in Ward 2, because that's where she's from, and she said she got, you know, she's a 76-year-old woman, and someone went right up to her and started screaming at her. And so those are the things that I just, you know, have problems with in the city, is that I don't care who you vote for, whoever you want. But I don't know why people can't be civil. If you don't like the sign, don't wave back. It's pretty simple, right? She was only just trying to be nice and wave to people coming in. And so I thought that part was awful, and that's nothing that we can do here in the city. It's, you know, human behavior. So I was a little disappointed in my time there, but as far as the polls, they went smooth. And I didn't hear of any complaints anywhere else in the city. So, you know, Dan, the last few elections, you know, you've done a great job, you know, coming here in the last couple of years and, you know, hitting every note. So thank you for that, and thank you to everybody that was involved to make sure it ran smoothly, whether here or at the polls.
Alderman Clee.
Thank you, Madam President. I too want to echo the thank yous to City Clerk Healy, as well as his staff and all those that worked at the polls, as well as the voters that came out. I mean, obviously, the reason why we're here is for them to come out and vote, and it is so important. You know, I always want people to vote for the same person that I vote for, but getting out to vote is the most important thing, and this is just the beginning of the season. We'll have the primary, I think in September, and then in November we're going to have the general election. So do some homework and be nice when you go out to the polls, as Alderman Thibault said. I too have experienced some nastiness and so on. And this is the very first time that I was not at the polls. I, for personal reasons, couldn't be at the polls this time around. But I also want to, the passing of Mr. Savage, Al Savage, I received from probably one of his biggest fans. Mr. Grady contacted me and let me know that he had passed away. And for those that do want to pay their respects, on Friday between 4 and 7 at the Rochette Funeral Home, there will be services, and then the funeral mass will be at 9:30 a.m. at St. Joseph's Worker Church on Saturday, and then terminal follow at Woodlawn. So I just want to get that information, but you can go to the Rochette Funeral Home and you can see the obituary and so on. We did a proclamation to both Al and Marion soon after she passed to pay our respects, and it was equally to both of them. I have friends that have worked with Biddy basketball and so on, and he is responsible for our Biddy basketball, who just talked about how she would clean all the uniforms and do all these things, and they'd have to go and pick them up and so on. The kindest people that you can imagine. So he will be missed by our city. He truly is an icon, and I know we have a number of Mr. Nashawas, but he is Mr. Sports Nashua, I guess you would want to call him. Also, prior to coming to the finance meeting, I went to the Ward 4, Ward 3, I guess you would call it, Crime Watch at the Amherst Street School, and part of the conversation, they talked a little bit at the beginning about some traffic issues and so on, and one of the things that kind of struck me that when I've talked to our Public Works about traffic is that when people are going through stop signs, or you feel there's a need for a stop sign, et cetera, one of the things that our Public Works can't just put up stop signs. They have to have a warrant, and one of the reasons for doing that is that there have been accidents there or so on. So our PD is very, very important. So when it comes to that, and that was one of the questions that I asked him. Do you get a lot of reports? And people tend to complain on Facebook and don't do those reports. So even if someone isn't coming out there, do those reports, get that information, contact the PD number if you feel that there's a particular intersection that's very hazardous. And I just want to kind of get that out. It kind of hit me when we were talking how people complain and say, we need stop signs here. This body does legislation for it, but not until we get Public Works approval and so on. So, thank you, Madam President.
Alderman Dowd.
Just a shout out, condolences to the Savage family. Also, I would like to give a shout out to Alderman Timmons, who sat at the polls checking people in all day. It's probably why she's not able to be here this evening. And when I went to vote, City Clerk Healy was at Ward 2, so I guess he was giving oversight to a good ward. So shout out to him as well. So thank you.
Alderwoman Kelly.
It's funny, I was about to give the same story, but really proud of the turnout in Ward 5, and Clerk Healy was there when I was there, so I got to hear a little bit of how his day was going, and I appreciate all the work that you were doing, and, you know, keeping everything going so smoothly, and the poll workers as well. It was a good turnout, and I was glad to see it for sure. I also wanted to thank the Finance Committee for coming in and doing the emergency funding. I know that the Soup Kitchen and Shelter and others in the community have been, you know, concerned about how we were going to get that that warming station up. So it sounds like a community effort between Director Bagley, the Soup Kitchen, the UU, everyone coming together is going to be the solution for this year. So thank you for doing all of that.
I too would like to thank the city clerk, his staff, and all the poll workers for their work yesterday. It's a long day, and with all the write-ins, I'm sure it was an even longer day for you, so thank you for that. Committee announcements. Alderman Dowd.
Yes, tomorrow evening, Joint Special School Building Committee at Nashua High School North Boardroom at 7 p.m.
Okay. Alderman Moran, do I have a motion?
Yes, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to adjourn.
You've heard the motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries. We are adjourned at 8:08 p.m. Thank you, everyone.